Okay.
So
So for people who really like to invest in crypto or venture in crypto, well, do we have like funds for it, like a hedge fund for it? Maybe because I remember like 3 years ago, you and I think that is a Russian company that you're in partnership with.
yeah,
You're like doing a token, if I'm not mistaken, or a coin.
yeah. So what?
But
Uh,
do we have like a hedge fund so that okay, I want to venture in crypto, but I really do not know how to do it. I don't have time to research about white paper, etc. So can we have, or do we have a platform where we can just give the money, invest in crypto, and then someone will invest for it or trade for it in your
actually, actually, in our company, in our attractive investments fund, uh, all of our products, all of our funds, we actually do invest in crypto. Every single fund is invested in crypto, but not all of it, obviously. It's only the range is depending on a product is between 3 to 10%. Okay. Uh, the reason being because it doesn't matter. It's a crypto, it's gold, or what. I can actually show you later on. There is no one asset class in the world that has been always performing well. It doesn't exist, all, including cryptos, including property, including cash. It doesn't exist. There is no such asset class. So I would never invest more than 10% of my money in cryptocurrency at this moment, unless you really don't know what you're doing. And of course, there's the different type of tokens. Let's say our company is creating a token, but investment-backed token. So basically, $1 of token is equal to $1 of investment. So it's a cryptocurrency is just a tool. So in this case, you're not expecting pump or dump because it's basically if you're making 1%, the cryptocurrency moves up by 1%. If you're losing 1%, it's going down. So it's based on multi-asset class investments. So yeah, but there are some funds. There are actually ETFs in Canada. It was the first ETF approved by the exchange. It's you can trade crypto ETF in Canada. You can buy and sell. So it's a you can do that. There are more products when it comes to crypto. You can actually trade Bitcoin. Like in my opinion, that's why I like Bitcoin and Ethereum because I like to hedge risk. So you cannot hedge risk when it comes to Cardano or other altcoins, but when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and maybe in the future Ripple, you can actually have options. You can have trade futures, so you can hedge your risk. But in our products, yes, all of our funds, we do invest in cryptos, but just a certain part. We don't have, unless we have a client that really wants us to tailor make product for them, that it would be fully in cryptocurrency, which personally me, I would not advise go full 100% put all your money in cryptocurrency unless you know how to hedge it with options and so on, which then it goes also in other financial instruments. So you are trading cryptocurrency, but you hedge it with futures or with options. So that makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. So you can do it on CME exchange, and yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
but of course, those exchanges are really well. The accessibility here in the Philippines, I'm not sure. For me personally, I think I know a person who trades in CME, but yeah, just I'm not sure. But I think those
the
are just
requirements are quite high as
commodities.
well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think 50K
Yeah.
minimum or
Um,
100.
it's a so if you take a contract, well, you can go through some sub companies and probably you can dissect the contract. But if you want to open your own account directly, you would have your requirement would be 5 mil USD, if I'm not wrong.
Hmm.
But
Well,
you can
for the
obviously
fund, yeah,
go for you to directly trade on
yeah,
the
yeah,
exchange.
yeah, true.
So, but of course, you can go through some other companies, get subcontracts, and so on. So, there are some Bitcoin contracts available on Interactive Brokers. So, technically, you can trade with smaller amount of money. You just have to. Then it becomes. That's why Bitcoin and Ethereum now is actual asset that you can trade. You can have options, and you can hedge your risk, and you can safeguard yourself. It's not only about just buying into that asset. It's actually safeguarding yourself. Like in this time, especially when cryptos drop, those people who just came in before the drop and they didn't use any hedging mechanism, it's the same thing as when stocks drop. You're just waiting. You're just waiting when the market gonna rebound. And of course, people, it would be stupid to sell now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you are 40% down and you're just waiting, maybe it's gonna happen next month, maybe 1 year from now, maybe 2 years, maybe 10 years from now, price will go up. Nobody knows.
True.
It's just everyone is just saying yes in the future. If you listen to the guys like Michael Saylor, amazing smart guy, but he's not thinking from the perspective of a person that has 10k USD in his account and 7k he has put in a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
He's thinking of the guy that has bought a multi-billion dollars in a Bitcoin that is just that is a big reserve of his company, but in a long run, this money is not needed for his company for development. He can wait 10 years for it to go up. Even 20 years he can wait for it to go up. And let's not kid ourselves. He knows how to utilize his assets and he can still get money. Most of the people don't know how to do it. Most of the people now, they have bought into some lousy altcoins that are down 60, 40, 70%, and they just wait for the day when it's going to go up. True. Those who have Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, some other coins, I don't care when it go down 40%. Why? My assets are in digital bank, and I can borrow against my Bitcoin, against my Ethereum, which means I don't have to pay any tax. I don't have to sell my Bitcoin. It's still there. I get cash money to do other investments. But those people who bought shitty altcoins, nobody needs them. Nobody gonna let you borrow against them because it's worthless.
And of course, especially for retail investors, those options are not available. Yes. So like for people who really have like small funds, all they can do is just buy Bitcoin, maybe spot Bitcoin in their wallet, store it, and then that's it. They really don't have any options. So I think that's the main difference between like an institutional client and a retail client for you. Yes, because you have both. You have retail investors and institutional investors. So historically speaking and relatively speaking, institutional investors like really win compared to retail investors who, based on statistics, lose money. So for you, because you handled both, what is the difference? Because of course, all of us here, we want like the sustainable and then the long-term growth of our funds. And I think for us to do that is we need to have the mindset of an institutional investor. Yes. So what is the difference? Well, of course, money is the big difference, of course. But how do you think, how can a retail investor approach investing just like an institutional investor so that at least based on numbers, he can gain long term or succeed in investing?
It's the allocation. Honestly, the difference is the asset allocation. Unless you have, of course, you have institutional investors that are big players that speculate, of course. But of course, they have big pockets and they can afford to speculate. So I'm not talking about those guys that are aiming to gain like 1,000% on one trade and they are trying to move the market or speculate. That's completely different type of institutional investors. That's already different ball game. Like normal institutional investors, what they're going to do is that they're going to allocate their risk. So they're going to split their risk. So instead of placing all on crypto or on Forex or on property or what, they're just going to find, that's why institutional investors, they do like funds, because if you have properly balanced fund, it will invest a little bit in everything. Okay, so this is since 2003, different markets, okay? So these are different markets, okay? So we are looking at UK stocks, Europe stocks, US stocks, cryptocurrencies, Japan, emerging markets, gold, Forex, everything. So basically every single market that you can potentially have, silver, everything. It's just before the 2011 for cryptocurrency, we have put 0 because it was not relevant, right? Because there is no liquidity. So only since 2011, it's actually relevant. So if you go through all of the markets in the world, there is no one market, including cryptocurrency, that has always been profitable, even 10 years in a row. There isn't. Even you look at the cryptocurrency, yes, 2011, you made 1,473. If you went in, how many people do you know that bought cryptocurrency in 2011?
For me, none. The earliest, I think, 2017. For me personally, I'm not sure with our viewers.
I know few people that bought in 2011, but I only know 2 people that bought before 2014 and still hold it until today. Only 2. So if you bought 2011, okay, you made 1,473. 2012, you made 186. 2013, you made 5,507. And that's probably when most people came in, is in 2014, and then bam, you lose 56%. Then in 2015, you make 33. 2016, 125. 2017, 1,325. And then bam, 2018, you lose 72%. So basically, even if you came in 2017 and you made 1,325 and then you hold it, you are still down because you lost 72% from the 1,320. You still lose money.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when it comes to other asset classes. Let's say look at the gold. Go look at the silver. There is no one asset class in the world that can go 10 years in a row with profit. There isn't any. So it doesn't, you can take a dart and shoot at this chart and just choose any product. And in the end, in a long run, it's a zero-sum game. But if you split your portfolio, if you would allocate certain percentage in every single product of these, you make money every year. Every single year you make money. It doesn't matter. Market crash, who cares? Markets don't crash all of the markets. I've never seen any market crash when every single market in the world crashes. It doesn't exist. There hasn't been such a crash. Well, arguably last year when we had the Corona crash. Even then, not all of the markets crashed. And if you know how to utilize when oil crashed and you purchased oil contracts at 0, and oil is trading now at $60. You don't need cryptocurrency to make millions of dollars from $1. You just purchase one oil contract, you are multimillionaire by today. It's just how you allocate your investment. People are too concerned on finding the best investment. It does not exist. There is no such thing as the best investment. It's just the best timing. Or you can be patient enough and just split your investment in various different, of course, if you have $10,000 and you have to split your investment over all asset classes, you're out of luck because it's impossible.
Yeah.
That's why, of course, funds can make money. It's like, and you cannot say, oh, but Philippines funds don't make money. Yeah, Philippines funds, unfortunately, they cannot invest in all of the asset classes around the world because they have to follow the regulations. And the regulations state most of the money has to be invested in Philippines. The same thing is in Indonesia. 70% of the money has to be invested in Indonesia. And if you know that emerging markets sometimes perform well, but unfortunately, as you can see, let's say we take 2008, emerging markets are down 35%. So obviously, all these funds that are obliged to invest in one particular geographical location, they will lose money, right?
Yeah.
It's not their fault. They only follow what the regulations tell them to do. Hence, the proper allocation is the key. You can have bad investments. All of your investments doesn't have to make money. But if you look at this chart and let's say you just put, let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 asset classes here. If you would place 7.5% in each of these, year by year, every single year you make profit. Every single year, without a doubt, without exception, you make profit every single year.
And this is the main advantage of investing in hedge funds rather than like one account in Forex, right?
Yeah,
So
because no matter how the Forex account can be perform well or good, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Of course, we are also trying to do the best. It's just, if you have $10,000 to invest, fair enough. But like we are talking like, what's the difference between institutional clients and institutional clients? They might invest some portion of their money in one asset class, but then they would split it around into various or in different funds, because that's the only way how they will preserve the money. Because in my opinion, there are two reasons why people invest. Number one, of course, they are looking for profit. But then there is those other people that already have money. They don't really need this income from investment to support their daily expenses or monthly expenses. The reason why they invest is not to make profit, but to preserve their money. Because if you do nothing with your money, you are losing your money. So they need to preserve their money. And that's why they choose diverse funds, because it is proven. You can talk with any investment advisor in the world, even in Philippines, and as long as he's giving you his honest opinion or his honest educated opinion, he will tell you diverse portfolio is the only way how to preserve and make money for next 100 years.